One of the things that our small business team has kind of learned over the last couple of years since we've come back from the COVID pandemic and being away is that small business owners like to hear from other small business owners and hear, their struggles, their triumphs, and how they overcame some things. And it's not easy being a small business owner. There's I know I joke a lot about it, but a lot of this gray hair is from when I was trying to be a small business owner. So I really have a lot of respect for you, for those of you who have stuck with it. Yes, I'll be among you here probably in the next couple of years with my wife. But it takes a lot, and it takes a lot of support from your family. So we recognize the family members and stuff too. But today I'd like to introduce you to our keynote speaker here today. Eric Smith is the franchise owner of Next Day Access now for 7 years. With locations in San Antonio and Orange County, California, Next Day Access provides home accessibility and mobility products. Eric also has been a franchise owner of Unishippers for 30 years, helping customers save time, trouble, and money on all their shipping needs. Eric is a dedicated business owner who strives to give his team every tool possible to succeed. He received a Bachelor of Science in Finance and Economics from California State University, Long Beach. Eric also has a Master's of Business Administration from the University of California, Los Angeles. Eric has been married for 20 years, is a proud Eagle Scout since 1985, and is currently a resident of Boerne, Texas. So please help me welcome Eric Smith to the stage. And I do have one question. Did you earn the entrepreneurship badge while you were in Boy Scouts?
No, I did not. All right, so we got to leave this up here for a second. Who is this guy? Because that is not me. This is quite the introduction, let's just put it that way. I'm pretty sure that's a placeholder of some sort. I'm not sure why. He's got a nice head of hair, so I don't mind swapping out a little bit, but that's a pretty funny start. So here's where we're at. We're 20 or 30 minutes before you want to get out of here for lunch. You got a lot of emails you want to look at, some Facebook posts that are just popping up on your screen, and I got to keep your attention for a little bit. So I'm going to try to keep it short. I'm going to try to keep it fun. The reality is I'm one of you. It doesn't look like it from some of the background info, but I'm a small business owner just like you, or some of you are just getting started. So we're all in this boat together, and that's what I want to talk to you about a little bit. First of all, thanks for inviting me to come out here. A little bit of a surprise. This is actually my first speaking engagement. I've spoken at some of my own conventions at Unishippers and Next Day Access, but never been up on a stage in front of some folks that I don't know. So why not come all the way out to West Texas and do it and show up with my bio picture being a Hawaiian shirt and then let them tell you I'm a Californian. And this should go great. Everything should be perfect. And then give me a podium that I can definitely hide behind. This is just perfect. I kind of jokingly said earlier, this is kind of like Wonder Woman's airplane or whatever, her invisible airplane that she had. But here's what I want to do. First of all, I'm glad you made it out here. This is a really important thing for you to do. As a small business owner, take advantage of all these resources. So if you have not yet met with the people at the different tables, please go do so. They have a wealth of information, all the speakers here. You should be able to talk to them offline afterwards as well to gather information. The accounting folks, go talk to them. Go ask them some simple questions. Go ask them, what's your starter package? How do I get involved with you? Because what they want to do is help you from the ground up. They may have certain clientele size that they work with, but they want to get you hooked up with the right people to get started. So make sure you take advantage of all this info. I started my first business 30 years ago, and I will guarantee you there weren't nearly as many resources, and I had no knowledge of any of them. So you're leaps and bounds ahead of where I was at. So as I've said, I'm a first-time speaker. They asked me to come, one of my friends asked me to come do this, and I said, okay, I can do that. Originally I thought, okay, you're gonna have me talk a little bit about why it's better to do business in Texas, versus other places. They didn't give me the 4-hour block of time that I would have needed for the first chapter of why I like doing business in Texas. So we're going to just talk about some of the things that I've, visited and experienced as I've gone through my 30-year career. Some of the helpful advice that I got was, whatever you do, don't say this when you get up there, and don't say that, and don't do this. So rewriting the script all the way through last night. But my first message to you would be, and this is kind of the key theme, and it's take a chance. Put yourself out there and take a chance with this dream that you've got in your mind and in your head. You've been thinking about it for quite some time. You've thought about it, and you've tried to figure out, what am I going to do to implement this? Take that step, take that chance. Don't overanalyze things. Don't, paralysis by analysis we talked about. You're going to have to take that leap forward. I don't recommend, taking the biggest of leaps all the time on everything that you can come up with. Take an incremental step. If you're talking about an advertising plan, you don't need to go spend $50,000 to get started. You can use the Facebook budget that was talked about earlier. You can, spend $20 to see if people are engaging at all, on that particular item. But take that chance. My chance coming in here is to let you know, give you a little bit of my background. I'm now a Texas resident. I've got a house in Boerne, Texas. I have the work ethic and the skills and knowledge I picked up as a Midwestern farmer. When I was a young kid from age 10 to age 19, I spent a lot of time on my uncle's farm back in Minnesota. And I learned cattle farm, grain, hay bales. We did 600 square bales a day, during the peak season. I learned a lot about running a business as a 10 to 19-year-old running a farm on my own. My uncle drove the truck, and he let me run the farm during the days. As I got older, maybe not as a 10-year-old, I wasn't running the farm, but by the time I was 19, he was letting me do a lot of the things. And I was doing some of the things that the neighbor kid weren't even allowed to do. So I did grow up in California. I enjoy the Texas lifestyle. I'm not here to California your Texas. I'd rather Texas to California. But what I like doing is I like doing business out here with good folks, and that's what I see in Texas, and that's what I want to try to expand out here. My first business, now this is where some of the finance people that just spoke, some of the accountants that just spoke, this is where I'm going to try to draw your attention to taking that chance and taking that leap. Those finance and accounting people their ears are going to perk up when I talk about what I did. So as a 26-year-old, I had a job in corporate America as a kid, and I started through this training program, and I was working at McDonnell Douglas, which is now Boeing. Had this bright corporate future ahead of me. I was going to school at UCLA, working on my MBA, and I learned about this business called Unishippers at the time. Somebody showed me what they called a margin report. It's, sales minus cost of sales, here's your margin left over. And over a period of a couple of weeks, one of my schoolmates kept showing me this margin report, and the number at the bottom kept getting bigger. It's like, well, wait, that's your weekly margin for this week, and then wasn't that bigger than last week? And so after about 6 weeks of looking at what he called his margin report, I said, well, I want one of those margin report things. And I learned more about the Unishipper business, and at 26, I took the leap from corporate America, started my own franchise, and I will be celebrating 30 years in the Unishipper system next February 1st. So it's been a really fun ride. I plan on sticking with that for probably 10, if not 15, maybe 20 more years. I still got a few years left in me. But the way I started, this is where the accounting comes. You ever get those credit cards? Or you've got a credit card. Do you ever get those little checks that come with it? About once or twice a year, they say, oh, just use this check, write it for however much you want, and you'll just start paying interest as of this date. I hope they still, well, I don't know if they still do that or not, but they come with the little checks. What we did is we had to pay $90,000 to buy an existing franchise from somebody. So my wife and I at the time decided, well, we're going to come up with this money. And I'll talk about our business plan later. But the way we financed this $90,000, yeah, I see the look on some of the faces already. So $90,000 as a 26-year-old, I was making $22,000 a year and had about $2,000 worth of savings at the time. We took 15 of those credit card checks to the bank and put them into the bank. We went to 3 different branches to put money in. Normally you have to go to different branches to get the money out. We went and put the money into the bank account, along with we reverse mortgaged our cars. We basically took loans out on cars that were paid off and got about $10,000 that way. But within a 24-hour span of time, we took a business bank account from $0 to $92,000. I wouldn't suggest that again. That's not exactly the right way of financing your business, but it is a way of financing your business. That's what you call taking a leap, okay? I had given up on the corporate life, and we had decided this is how we were going to do it. They talk about burning the boats once you get to the new land. Yeah, we burned the boats, and we had, my wife at the time was making money as an accountant. She was an accountant. She got away with it, with doing this crazy thing. But we decided, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go make it happen. So $90,000 later, we bought the franchise and started paying basically almost every day we had a bill come due on those credit cards because you had to make the payments. So that was our first leap into it. 30 years later, it's turned out very well for me. We've had one of the top franchises in the nation for 3 years running. From 2014, 15, and 16, we were the largest and fastest growing franchise in the nation. Pretty fun times at the time. That was the kind of the highest of the highs at the moment. I will say, as far as so the second story to the taking a chance is right when we hit our peak of being the top franchise in the nation. We went through some situations. I had business partners. We'd merged together. Oh, by the way, no, I'll talk about it in a second. We'd merged our businesses together with some other partners to become one of the largest ones. And just as we were experiencing all of this, my partners kind of blindsided us and decided that they were ready to sell. And so at the peak, when everything was moving along just nicely, we had to start all over again. I had some other franchises started in the Unishipper world, so I did have what I call lifeboats available. But at age 49, I'd gone from 26 years old to age 49, and now I had to make a change. I was running this big organization. Now I needed to, my partners exited the business. Now I needed to start over. And I gave some serious thought. Am I going to continue on in this path, or do I want to look at something different? So at age 49, I found another opportunity called Next Day Access. I've now been doing that for 7 years. I'm the second largest franchise in the Next Day Access world. We have franchises in Orange County, California, as well as San Antonio. And just so you all know, we're coming out here to the West Texas side. So we'll be out here soon with Next Day Access. What Next Day Access does is it's a provider of wheelchair ramps, grab bars, stair lifts, vertical platform lifts, anything you need for mobility and accessibility. We work a lot with the VA, work a lot with hospitals, workers' comp, people that need to get in and out of their homes or in and out of their vehicles and whatnot. So we've been doing that for about 7 years. Didn't know anything about the industry, and at 49 decided, okay, I'm going to learn, I'm going to figure this out, and we're going to get started on it. So we've had a very successful run and continuing to do that, and we're expanding that as well. So I've enjoyed both businesses for sure. Let's see. The next topic I want to talk about is when you have your dream, there's others that are going to try to pull you down. Either they're subconsciously going to do it, or they literally are intending to do this on purpose. Don't let the distractors pull you down or slow you down. you've got the idea that you want to go create something, you need to push forward and don't listen to what they have to say. When I was looking for funding as a 26-year-old, I had put together the business plans. I didn't have the help that some of the other organizations that here can give you, but I was in UCLA. I should have been able to figure out how to write up a good business plan. We did. I thought we had put something together pretty nicely, took it to some, let's call it family and friends, looking for some funding or some backing, or at least some support to say this looks like a good idea. And the very first words we got when we presented our business plan was, is this some kind of a pyramid scheme? Now that's not, what you want to hear as a young person trying to get into the business world and trying to do something entrepreneurial in scale. But I took that, and I will never forget those words that were said to me, is this some kind of pyramid scheme? Well, I'll tell you what, 30 years later, it actually worked out pretty darn well. And I'm very happy with where we've come with the business. But there's going to be people that are going to question, what are you trying to do? Why are you doing this? Why don't you just stick with what you've got? It's never going to work. And it probably won't work for them because they don't have the right mentality. You need to have the right mentality to take your business forward. We did a business plan later on to merge, at UCLA still, a year later after I purchased, we talked about merging franchises. So my school buddy and I did a business plan, presented it to the professor, and again, the same kind of thing was, his opening comments on the top of our page of our presentation was, why? Like, why are you doing this? Why bother with it? And again, not a very, enlightening thing that you want to hear. Just press through. We actually combined and built one of the biggest and largest franchises and most successful. Fred Smith, he got a C-. Fred Smith started FedEx. His business plan in school was, to the FedEx model. He got a C- on his project, and he actually put together Federal Express, several years later on. So even if you get a C- on your business plan, still press forward with it. Hopefully they can help you, get a little better than a C- on the business plan. But just keep pressing forward. Don't let the detractors slow you down. The next message for you is about attitude and effort. And this comes from our CEO at Worldwide Express, Unishippers. We're a conglomerate now. He is our lead player based in Dallas, Texas. Great guy, great team over there in Dallas. I really enjoy working with them. When he comes in and talks to all of our new sales reps in sales training, some of his opening comments are, it's all about the attitude and the effort. And if you think about it, that really is the truth. If you have the right attitude about your business and your product, and if you can get your employees to have the right attitude about the work that you're trying to accomplish, and if they put the effort in and you put the effort in, that's about 80% of the battle. You don't have to have a ton of knowledge. You don't have to have specialized skills. You don't have to have everything going your own way. You just need to get the right attitude about it and put in the right amount of effort on it, and you will go far with it. So keep that nugget in mind. I never go very far. We talk about those two concepts at least 3 or 4 times a year with our whole sales force. Let's see. The other thing that you can do, the other point I would say is just outwork and out-hustle everybody. I am not one, basically, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just got to get the wheel in motion. I am not the kind of person that's leading edge technology. I am not the person that's going to go jump on the latest bandwagon of, hey, try out this new software, it's going to do this. Try out this new marketing program, try this, try that. I'm a fast follower, let's say, or a furious follower. When I see something that works, I will go make it work better. I will go make it work faster, or I will work harder on it. So it's not about reinventing the wheel, it's just outworking and out-hustling. And that just means you're going to have to put some sweat and energy and effort into it, and you're going to have to put some focus into it. And we'll talk about it. Your small business is your baby, it is your family, it is what you do on a daily and regular basis. So you got to keep your eye on the ball, and you got to keep things moving forward. Don't get distracted by things. Overcoming obstacles. I'll give you a little story on this. It sounds trivial, but it's hugely important that when you get hit by issues that are out of your control, when you get hit by items they look like a step backwards, you need to turn and start that as your new starting point on how you're going to become successful. Don't look at it as a setback. Don't look at it as a failure. Don't look at it as something that you can't overcome. Just take yourself and say, okay, I am now here, and this is what I need to go accomplish. This is what I need to go make happen. I had the opportunity to go climb Mount Kilimanjaro, which is in Africa. It's the tallest peak on that continent, one of the tallest peaks. I'm not a huge mountain climber. I was an Eagle Scout, a Boy Scout, did not get the entrepreneurship merit badge. But I'm not overly athletic. I'm not this, great person that's going to go get it done. But I had a desire. You know what? I do want to go climb that mountain. I do want to make this happen. And I went with a group of my friends. The same guy I went to school with at UCLA was my business partner. He brought his 2 kids. I brought my son. He's got a cousin. We had 8 of us. And the way they do it is you have individual porters that help you move up, and then you have a camp full of people that help you move up the mountain. Ours was a 10-day trek to get to the top. There's enough oxygen. It's just short of 20,000 feet, and I think it's 19,980 something. And there's some days where I ask myself, why didn't that mountain just grow to like 20,000 feet? I mean, why stop at 19,985? I should have kept going. But it's 20,000 feet. There's definitely enough oxygen there. It just takes energy and effort to get to the top of that mountain. It's not technical. But we get there, and the first 7 days you're acclimatizing, getting used to it, and then the last day is the summit day. You wake up at roughly 2 in the morning, get yourself ready, start hiking in the dark, and heading up the hill. You've got about 5,000 feet of elevation, like 4,500 feet of elevation gain on that last day, and it's some pretty rough climbing that last day. They expect it to be roughly a 12-hour, 13-hour day, something like that. By the time morning rolled around, by about 10 a.m., I wasn't feeling great. I have come to the conclusion that I don't do great with altitude. But I was determined to make it. I'm not going to Africa, climb this mountain, and then come up a day short from making it to the peak. I was going to figure out how to get to the top. So it's about 11 o'clock in the morning. We should be getting close to the peak at this time. And I'm just not feeling it. I'm not going to get too crazy about the description of it, but it wasn't working for me. And I'm slowing down the whole group. But I never had any thoughts of not making it to the peak of Kilimanjaro. I was going to make it happen. And my team members kind of knew that as well. They know that about myself. Whatever's in front of me, I'm going to make it to the top of. And about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which is about when we're supposed to be getting back down to the base camp, is when we made it to the peak. I slowed my guys down for about 5 hours and made them wait, slowly made it up to the side of the mountain. I did make it. I caused my team about 5 hours of grief to get there. But think about it in the big picture. All of us made it to the summit. All of us got to the top of Kilimanjaro. We made a dream come true. I've got photos. Maybe I should put it up there instead of that picture that wasn't me. But I've got a beautiful photo that sits behind my desk of my son and I on the top of Kilimanjaro, and then the whole group up there. That 5 hours is a very small amount of time in the lifespan of all of us that climb Kilimanjaro. I mean, yeah, I was a little bit delayed, but we made it happen together, and we got to the top. It was an obstacle, wasn't feeling great. I overcame it and made it to the top of Kilimanjaro. And I will never forget that. I made it unique, kind of like my photo in here. It's unique, Hawaiian shirt. Everybody else is in shirt and tie, and I'm in a Hawaiian shirt. But the next obstacle, the next big obstacle I want to talk about overcoming was when we were at the peak of our franchise with Unishippers, top honors, we had just won a settlement with a carrier in regards to some stuff that had happened during the recession and some changeover. So another big win under our belt, and it was April, it was the Friday before Easter. We won a settlement. The very next morning, my franchise group took a vote, and it shocked me, but we took a vote to disband our franchise. So we went from the peak to the valley in less than 18 hours, and I was basically going to become unemployed and have to start all over again. That's when I started the Next Day Access, and that's when I moved on. But basically, I just took a reset. At age 49, I said, look, let's just figure this out. Let's just start over and come up with what we need to do. So handle objections by looking at it as a place to reset and restart and move forward. Don't look at it as something that's going to slow you down and stop you forever. All right. Do what you love and love what you do. As a small business owner, I will guarantee you are going to put more hours into this than you will ever believe. It will become your life. If you're not getting into something that you love, and or you get into something and you don't love it, it's probably not a right fit, and you probably should look at exiting and consider doing something different, or figure out how to make yourself love it. I love what I do. I love the fact I don't sit behind a desk all that often. I do get out in the field. I do build ramps. And some of the most fun times I've had is when I'm out turning wrenches with the guys and out in the field, working a saw, working a wrench, figuring out how we're going to do something different. The most fun I have with my Unishippers folks is when I'm out there making sales calls with people and just talking to people about their shipping needs. It's great to sit and talk with veterans after we've built them a ramp and look at their face and realize that they're getting out of their house for the very first time in the last 18 months because they've had no way to get down these stairs. So it's pretty impactful, and it's what makes me who I am. It's what drives me every single day. I literally do wake up thinking about how can I impact, some of my customers, some of these people that I work with. So if you're not feeling the same way, whether you're currently in corporate America and you got to break out and go do something different, or you're working on your business right now, make sure that you're having fun. Make sure you're loving what you do, because it's so important to have a healthy attitude towards it. Physical, mental strain of running your business. If you're not enjoying it, probably time to think about doing something slightly different or changing it up. Look for some help to help you make some changes on it. One more item, kind of going through a few more here. Trust your gut feelings on things, okay? Many of you, I'm going on 56 right now. Some of you are up in that same age range. There's not a ton of you that are only 26-year-olds right now. But you've experienced life experiences. You've gone through life and you've figured some things out. You know some rights and wrongs. You know what feels right. You know what feels that something's out of whack. Trust your gut feeling on many different things. And I say that because you're going to have to make some business decisions. You're going to have to figure out what do you need to do at this moment in time and how do I handle it. Your gut feeling is probably the correct feeling. Now, what I suggest is, since we're small business owners, you don't have that network, you don't have the support that you might need to just bounce it off of the guy in the cubicle next to you or your manager or this or that. You're thinking, this is my business, how do I do it alone? I don't know what to do. Network with people, look for help, look for assistance, look for people that you can share your ideas with. And this room is full of them. You can take my business card, you can bounce it off of me if you want to get my opinion. But your gut feel is going to be right about 80% of the time or 90% of the time. And what I wrote down on my notes is phone a friend for that second opinion. And there was a game show on like 5 to 10 years ago that had a phone a friend thing, if anybody remember that, maybe not. But the point is, if there's somebody out there that you can just go bounce the idea off of, that's probably not a bad idea. Take some time, bounce your thought. Here's my gut feeling, what do you think? Get their input and then go back and make your decision. I also have a 24-hour rule. If you're frustrated by something, an email comes in, some bad news or anything else, don't respond to it for at least 24 hours. You'll regret the early response that you send. That is not a good one. Trust me. I've sent a few before the 24-hour limit. But let things settle in. You know, you get good and bad news all the time. I get bad news on a regular basis. You know, people quit on me, people this, people that, whatever. Let it settle in. Let's figure out why, and let's move on and reset and go to a new point on it. So, trust your gut instinct, but get some help, you know, on that decision making if you need to. Upgrading your staff. That doesn't mean changing your staff. It means helping them build some skills to be better at doing business with you and for you. My staff is my family. I see my staff more than my own family. My son does work with me, so I get to see my son on a regular basis. But put energy into helping them upgrade their skills. Let them become more knowledgeable about what's going on. It's kind of an eye-opening moment when I was working out here and sharing my knowledge with some of my employees. And one of my friends out here goes, man, I can't believe you just tell them all this stuff. And I'm like, well, they may as well know what the business is all about. They may as well understand what I'm going through and what we're going through, because someday this business may end up being run by my employees and I'll step back away from it. So upgrade your employee skills. Set clear expectations. This is probably a pretty key thing for both yourself and for your employees. Set clear expectations on what you're expecting out of them. What do you want your employees to do? What do they need to accomplish for you? Make sure they understand that. Put that in writing. Have regular meetings with them to talk about it. Because the last thing you want to do is get frustrated on your side because they're not doing what you thought they knew they were supposed to be doing, and they have no idea that that's what their expectation was. So give them a clear and concise roadmap for what it's like to be a successful employee to work for you. And then they can take it from there and move themselves forward. It never hurts to bring on some new folks. I do rotate. My Unishipper world is sales. Sales is a tough environment. I do rotate through sales reps on a fairly regular basis, but most of them figure it out on their own that it's time to move on and go do something different. And I rarely have had any bad situations where an employee's left the company. They usually understand it and understand where we're going with it. But bringing on some new talent is never a bad thing. Get some different opinions on things. Lastly, smile and enjoy the ride, okay? This is business and life all together. If you're not having fun, I guess I kind of alluded to it earlier, but it's an adventure, it's our life, it's what we do, so have fun doing it. Make sure that we're enjoying it. Make sure that you're happy with yourself, happy with your family understands why you're trying to accomplish what you're doing, and work on it together. Make it something that is good for all of you, because enjoying life is more important than just getting through life. You want to have something that you wake up every day and can be passionate about. So I hope that you understand what you're trying to accomplish with it. I hope you can have some fun with it. And then lastly, I just want to say I hope that you as small business owners realize we're all in the same boat. I may come from California. I may have some crazy thoughts here and there, but we're all in the same boat together. And my goal was to come here, speak with you, give you a few ideas. But most importantly, when I step off the stage, I'd love to shake your hand back in the back of the room and have what you guys might call a porch visit, but in the Midwest, you just kind of end up talking forever, and suddenly you realize you left the truck on, and it's been running for 45 minutes, and you're just up there talking. So we'll just leave the truck running, and I'll be back there and ready to talk with you and chat with you, because that's what this is all about, is just having some fun, working with good people, getting some good resources like they have here in the room. So thank you for your time today. Appreciate it. You guys have a good afternoon. Thank you.